Sucio Talk. I feel like I heard this so many times.
So many times. It's weird, like, hearing it on my own episode.
Right.
Like,
Your own episode. It's about fucking time.
right? I was like,
Sorry.
Sucio, bro, I've
What's
seen
up?
you so many spots, and I'm like, when you gonna have me, man?
No, it's finally happened.
Finally.
I knew this last time. I was like, I gotta make this happen. I cannot do it, So,
yeah.
Usually, I'm sitting here and I'm sitting here with Chef this, but I find that it's much more connected to your audience, to your audience, when you tell them what the hell your name is and who the hell you are. You know what I mean?
All right.
So here we go. Chef, tell the world, who the hell are you?
My name is Selasie Dotse. For everyone who needs to know how to say my last name.
Yeah, thank you.
Dotse. I knew that's why
Dotse.
you asked me to say my name.
Yeah.
Because you didn't know how to say my last name. It's okay.
Is that, and also, because I used to be like doing this big intro thing, and I feel like it makes people feel weird at the beginning. Like
like you're
when you
introducing
talk
them.
to somebody about somebody in front of them, they
Yeah.
get like, you know what I mean?
It's like, hey, I'm here.
It was that feeling, you know what I mean? And it's like, let me just have them introduce themselves, so it's not like this weird thing or this big, like, I was making too much hype at the beginning of the show, and I felt like it was like up here and then down and too much emotion going on at the beginning. So I was like, calm the fuck down, have them introduce themselves. Also helps me with the last name because I've been saying Dotse for my whole life.
Everyone has said it as, you know what, I'm going to take these off.
Yeah, go ahead.
I don't think
It's
I
all
need
good.
these.
It's all
Yeah,
good.
Yeah,
No.
yeah.
We can hear each other. We're all good.
Yeah, I mean, everyone thinks it's Dotse, Dotes. I've heard many, many renditions of my name, and I think, it's phonetic. You can see how, my first name should be, at least pronounceable because it's literally just vowels, Selasie, Selasie. But I've heard Selasia, Selasie, Selasie. It confuses me because it's pretty straightforward.
Right. You think people try to put the spin on it?
Yeah. I mean,
Should
I
be
don't
like-
know what it is with people and like seeing a fancy name. It's like, ooh, how do I think this sound? And it's like, no, just say it as it's appearing on the paper.
That's the least offensive way you could say it wrong.
Yeah. And also, I mean, I feel like if you can say like a German name or like a Russian name that has no vowels and that's all consonants,
Right.
a name with vowels should be pretty easy.
Yeah. You're right about that. I used to be at graduations, used to be like David Gillatoy. Like there's not even an O in the name. Like just take the word toy. Like just the word toy. What in my name says toy? There's no toy in the word. So I don't know. And most of these people are teachers. So you're like, what is going on here?
Yeah, school was the worst. The first day of class or when we had like a substitute, I would just wait because I knew. That
Yeah. After a while, you stop getting offended. And
yeah.
This
I'm
is
just
just
like,
what
all
it
right,
is.
who's gonna get it? What are they gonna say? Placing bets? No, not really placing bets. But
Right. There you go. There you go. Well, here on Sucio Talk, we take it all the way back. So, where were you born?
I was born in Ghana, or I was born in Accra, which is the capital of Ghana.
Okay.
In West Africa. If you don't know where Ghana is, you should by now because it's all over the media, So.
Right. So, you're born there. How long did you live there?
So I was about one.
So, you were about one.
Yeah. My dad was already living overseas. He was in the UK when I was born. And then he moved over to Vancouver. So me and my mom, we joined him when I was one in Vancouver, Canada. Lived there till I was about 3. Then we all moved to Atlanta, Georgia. My dad is in academics. He has a PhD in organic chemistry.
Really?
Yeah, super, super smart guy.
Wow.
Yeah, so
Was there a lot of pressure there with you coming up? Was he like, you gotta like do the same shit I did?
I mean, not necessarily like get a PhD, but like they wanted me to pursue like medicine or science, like
Mm-hmm.
something that they thought was more relevant, or something that like I would at least make more money, I
Mm-hmm.
guess. Being the child of West African parents, like they expect you to either become a lawyer, doctor, engineer, nurse, but
Right.
I was like good at math and science like growing up, but like I didn't want to do those things. I knew that I wanted to do something in the arts.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know what per se. I dabbled in like music. I dabbled with like visual arts. I dabbled in like poetry, but I grew up like cooking. So
Mm-hmm.
like I just kind of like ventured towards that mostly. So, I mean, dad's super smart guy because my dad was going to teach at Georgia Tech.
Wrong.
He was getting his PhD there. So we were there till I was about 11.
Mm-hmm.
Then we moved to North Carolina. That's where I spent like the rest of elementary school, middle school, and high school.
So that's like where all your friends
Formative.
were.
Yeah,
Got you.
Yeah.
Was it hard moving when you were younger, before 11?
Not so much. I think like I don't really remember having to move around too much when I was younger.
Mm-hmm.
I did know that like I went to a bunch of schools, not necessarily because like I moved a lot, but because like the like district that I was supposed to be in would like keep changing. So
Mm-hmm.
like I would just have to go to a different school just based off of that.
Right.
But like I don't really think like I really had much trouble because like when you're in elementary school, like I don't really think it's that hard to like make a friend. I mean, it's like
if you're a loser in kindergarten, come on.
Yeah, I mean, like there's always those like weird kids. Like I tried to I guess be friends with like everyone,
Mm-hmm.
Also like growing up with African parents, like it was Ghana in the house, but like when I left the house, like I was in the States. Like
Right.
like I was living in two cultures. So I don't really feel like that like would have made it hard to make friends.
Mm-hmm.
Like I was just what I saw like just a kid growing up in the US.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
I feel like a lot of the schools that I went to like had kids from all types of different backgrounds.
Yeah, always.
So, like,
Didn't really
yeah, it didn't
make
really
a difference.
matter or make much of a difference until like I got older and like moved to North Carolina. Like that's when it was like a little bit harder because I was in like the 5th grade.
Mm-hmm.
And hormones are kicking in. They're taking us to like field trips to learn about like hormones and shit. But like I don't know, like it was just maybe because I was African, like that was new to a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't know, it like it like it definitely was a little bit harder like to make friends. Like I did eventually like make friends, but it wasn't as easy as like when I was living in Georgia, if that
Right.
makes sense. Yeah.
A little bit more challenging.
Yeah. But I mean, eventually I was able to make friends. I got into sports.
Did you play?
Played a little bit of basketball. I haven't touched the basketball since high school.
Right.
So don't ask me to
Career
like.
didn't. Yeah. Right.
No. Wasn't really for me. I just did it because that's what kids did.
What was your first job?
Eckerd. I'm not sure if people know what that is.
What is that?
Eckerd is kind of like what a CVS is.
Okay, got you.
Eckerd got bought out, and then they changed their name to Rite Aid, but it's kind of like a Walgreens or
Okay.
like a CVS. I just worked like the register because I was 16. I was like, I want a job, but I don't know what to do. Eckerd was like right around the corner from my house. So my parents took me to like apply to some spots. And I got an offer to Eckerd, so I was like, okay, sure. It was like minimum wage back then. I think it was like $6. So yeah, I worked like the weekends because I was like still in school. Realized I hated that shit.
Yeah.
Stocking shelves, having to like talk to people, it wasn't really like my thing.
Right.
So there was like this restaurant that was around the corner from my house called The Loop Pizza and Grill. I wanted to like get into the kitchen, but they're like, we don't really have anything, but we have like something at the register. So I was like, I mean, okay, I can start with that. Hated that because I don't like interacting with guests. You know, like taking the order, putting it in the screen. Also, like this was a popular spot for my high school. So like when the football games would happen and the team would win, like everyone would come to the Loop and get like pizza and wings, because we did like pizza and wings like Thursday and Friday, because Thursday was the JV team,
right?
Friday was the varsity team. So I think the owner had like some setup where like it was like unlimited like wings and like pizza for like the high school kids and like the football team, basketball team, and it was chaos. But it was chill. Eventually, they were like, you know, we see you don't want to work the register, and I was like, I've been telling you guys this. So I started off as like a dishwasher, busser. Then I worked my way up to like the pizza station, then up to the grill station, and then I worked there till I graduated from high school, and then went to culinary school at good old Johnson and Wales.
Johnson and Wales. Yeah. Where at? What campus?
Charlotte. So they closed the Virginia campus and the Charleston campus in South Carolina, and then they opened one up in Charlotte because it was like the halfway point.
Right.
So I think I was like, the fourth class that they had.
Okay.
There.
So the first seniors were leaving your class.
Yeah.
Okay. How was your Johnson and Wales experience?
I mean, I didn't have to go to culinary school. I just went because my parents were like, you need a degree in something. So I mean, it was pretty easy when it came to like the cooking side and the labs and the academics, because I was just naturally like really good at school because my parents were like hard on me to like be good at school.
Yeah.
So I was in like honors, taking like extra classes, but I also was working full-time too, so it was a little harder like managing being a student full-time but also like working full-time. I mean, Johnson and Wales was cool. I still keep in contact with like some of my friends, some of my former roommates, some of my former chefs, you know. They have been following my journey since culinary school, which is like wild that some of them still do that. But
that's dope.
Yeah.
It doesn't happen like that for me, man. I don't know nobody over there, you know.
Well, you went to Providence.
Yeah.
Providence is
it's a lot bigger.
Huge.
Yeah, so they don't love you that much. You're just a number over there. Fucking chefs. Anyways, broken dreams. So, 2 years or 4 years?
4 years.
4 years. All right. So you got straight bachelor's in science.
Yeah.
That makes you a scientist, chef.
I mean,
Chef, just, it's fine.
Okay.
We're scientists, okay?
I mean, yeah, I'm a scientist of food.
Love it.
But yeah, I was there for 4 years. During my like second year, I got a fine dining job working at a spot called Upstream. It's no longer open, but that was like my entrance into the fine dining world in Charlotte, because it was like a popular seafood spot, specialized in like Asian flavors, but had like a sushi bar, like a raw bar, and like a hot side. It was, I think, one of like the top 5 restaurants at the time. Started off as a busser because one of my homies was like, hey, you know, I'm trying to get into the kitchen, but I can get you in as a busser, and eventually I can get you into the kitchen too. So I started there like serving water and bread, polishing silverware, like folding napkins, that shit. Eventually, like, they knew that I wanted to get into the kitchen there. So they were like, hey, the kitchen's still kind of full, but we need an expo. So I was like, that's chill. I've never done that. Servers, like being that middle point.
You're
the wall, like, hey, it's coming.
Yeah, it's okay.
It's coming. Yeah. It's coming. The food is coming. Everyone's happy.
Everything is okay.
We don't have to scream at each other.
Yeah, exactly. Keep the peace.
Yeah, but I expoed because they're like, hey, you can see like the end plate and then see how things work. And then eventually a prep spot opened.
Okay.
So I worked mornings prepping, then worked my way onto the line, worked every station from like cold side all the way up to, I was like lead line cook. So I could work cold side, saute, the flat top, the grill, the sushi station, the raw bar station, and they had me doing pastries. So I knew that like they weren't going to give me like a sous chef, but they gave me like lead line cook, which was like, I guess, good enough at the time. I was there for like 4 years. In the beginning, I left for like a few months and then I went back. But eventually I was like, it is time. I've been here 4 years. Actually, they fired me. Yes.
They fired you.
They fired you. One too many write-ups for bad attitude.
Right.
I just feel like, you know, as your only black employee to get fired for bad attitude,
like maybe you just don't understand us.
You don't. Yeah, you know, that was one thing that I definitely noticed, that like my treatment was a little bit like different because I was the only black,
the loud one.
Yeah, I was.
It's all good. I've been there.
I was the loud black person.
You're the loud brown person. You're like, you're looking around like, it's like, oh, I'm sorry.
But yeah, they fired me. I bounced around to like a bunch of other restaurants. Linked up with some black chefs who were doing a black chef dinner series called Soul Food Sessions.
Who are those chefs?
That's Gregory Collier. He's the chef and owner of Leah and Luis in Charlotte. Michael Bowling, he is the chef and owner of Hotbox Kitchen in Concord. Gregory Williams and Jamie Barnes, who are the owners of What the Fries food truck, and they also have a brick and mortar. Jamie Sudith was the pastry chef, and Greg's wife Sabrina handled the front of the house.
Dope.
So Greg, I met him because he was looking for an AM cook, and like I had interviewed and I was talking about like my experiences as a black cook in Charlotte, and he was like, you know, it's because you're black and like no one knows how to like work with us, no one knows how to like talk to us. So he was like, I'm doing this dinner series, like would love for you to like just come and like hang out with us. So they had their first dinner and I was just like cooking with them, just hanging out, but it was chill because like everybody looked like me. Like, we were just playing, like, hip-hop and just cooking, like, our food, like, not worrying about, like, the bullshit of, like, all the other kitchens that we had worked at. So
Right.
it was just, like, a really, like, eye-opening experience of, like, this is what I've been missing in my career. Like, I've worked in all these kitchens. I know that I can cook, but no one really gets me. All these chefs got me. So I was a part of that dinner series for, I want to say, like 2-3 years, probably about 2. I helped out with, like, pretty much every single dinner. I also got to be featured in, I think, 2 dinners too. So I got to showcase some of my flavors and some of the dishes that I was working on. Cooking with them, like, gave me the confidence to, like, move out to California.
Okay.
Cause I knew that I wanted to do, like, more fine dining stuff, as in like Michelin, like tweezers, but
Right.
like I didn't think I was, like, good enough. Cause, like, in all these other kitchens, like, I wasn't going anywhere, I wasn't moving up. But, like, being with my people, like, they're like, nah, like, you got this. Like you're just as badass as all these other fucking chefs. Like, you go talk your shit. So I moved out here in 2018. In 2017, I took a, like, 2-week trip because I had never been to California. So I was like, let me just check it out, like, stage around. Staged at a bunch of spots. Took a job with Bird Dog in Palo Alto.
Yeah.
Robbie Williams, Wilson, Robbie Wilson.
So you work with Ileana?
Yeah,
Ileana Ponce
yeah.
and
She's been telling me, yo, you gotta get on Sushio's podcast. And I'm like,
I've been waiting
it's not
for
me.
the invite.
That's Susio.
She's here, okay?
Yeah.
Ileana and then
I
her.
know Ileana. She was one of the first people that I, like, met working at Bird Dog. She's cool people. I've been trying to reach out to her, be like, yo, when you gonna help me, like, market my shit? Because I know she, like,
she does that for
does that shit.
Oko,
so this is me calling her out.
There you go, Ileana. Hit her up. She listens to the show too, so
I know she does.
She'll nudge her, be like, oh shit.
But I was at Bird Dog for, like, 8 months. Just the promises just weren't happening, and there were no Black people in Palo Alto, and I'm like, I don't think I like this.
Right.
So I left and went to SBQR.
Did you live in Palo Alto?
I lived in Hayward, and then
How you like Hayward?
It was all right. I mean, Hayward's cool because it's spacious.
Yeah.
My landlord was just a shitty person.
Right.
Yeah, it
Cut
just
it
didn't
off.
work out. So after Hayward, I ended up in San Jose. Like,
okay.
'cause that commute just wasn't fun. from
Yeah,
Hayward
no,
to
ain't nobody
Palo
want to do
Alto.
that. No.
So moved to San Jose and did that instead. San Jose was show. It's hot. You know, I liked it better because it's hot, and
Is it hot all the time, even in winter?
I don't think I was there for the winter. I was there mostly, like, late summer,
Yeah.
fall-ish. No, actually, no. I was there, like, March through September, August. So it was.
So right before.
Yeah, so it was like getting warmer. So I never really got to.
You're like, it's hot. I'm like, it's summertime.
Well, I mean, I like the heat. That's why I moved
hear you.
to Cali.
I hear you.
I could have moved to Chicago. I should have moved, or I could have. Tongue twister there. I could have moved to Chicago or, like, New York, but I don't like the cold weather.
Right.
But after Bird Dog, made my way up to San Francisco. Eventually took a job at SPQR and at Murad. So
Two spots.
So I was doing lunches at Murad, and I was doing dinners
Full time?
Yeah, 5 days a week, 5 mornings, and doing 5 nights at SBQR.
Did you have the same 2 days off?
No,
right? Different.
It didn't work out like that.
And you always just work 7 days a week.
Yeah, because at Murad, it was Monday through Friday because that's when they had lunch.
Right.
So I only had like Saturday, Sunday off. But then at SBQR, I think my days off were like Monday, Tuesday.
Mm-hmm.
So I would have like 2 mornings off and then 2 like nights off, but they weren't like the same day.
Right.
But that shit was hard.
Yeah, of course, yeah. Been there. Not easy.
Yeah, I did that for about 8 months before I was like, I gotta pick one.
Mm-hmm.
So I picked SBQR.
Right. Why?
Just I guess it seemed more promising with what Matt had offered.
Mm-hmm.
I was also like, I didn't really want to work lunches at Murad. I only picked lunches because they wanted me for PM, but I had accepted a PM offer at SBQR instead because they were the first person to like give me an offer.
Mm-hmm.
But I probably would have rather done nights at Murad because they run a tasting menu and an a la carte menu like at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's a huge kitchen, but it's split into 2.
Oh, right.
One side is doing the tasting menu.
More organized.
One side is doing the.
Where SPQR, you're just like, whoa.
Yeah, it's the tasting menu was on like certain nights.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was like Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then every other night it was a la carte. And I was also working the pass there, so I was also doing something like expoing, But this expoing was like I was also plating at the same time and finishing dishes. So like it was a little bit more cooler and more appealing than what I was doing at Murad. Plus, how can I word this? Like, even though Murad had the most amount of Black people I've ever seen in a fine dining Michelin kitchen, it didn't feel like it was the right space for me.
Right.
And SBQR seemed a bit more welcoming to me. So I was there for about a year, met some really cool people. I started my first pop-up when I was at SBQR. So that was dope. Did that with some of those cooks. Then migrated over to Avery with Rodney. Because when I had initially came to San Francisco, like he was doing RTB Fillmore, which was before Avery. That was the first name. And I really wanted to work with him, but he was going to be closing for a certain time to like revamp. So like, I wasn't sure if like moving out here and having that uncertainty was like the best option. But when I was done at SBQR, I saw that he was still like hiring. So I reached out and was like, hey, would love to still work, for you. Don't know if you remember me, but like I saw that you're hiring. So he invited me to come eat. And I was just blown away by like his flavors. Like Rodney is a super, super, super talented chef. Like his food is probably some of the best food I've eaten in the Bay, just because of like his techniques and his flavor combinations. But it was also hard because there's no front of the house in that restaurant. So it's just cooks and a CDC and Rodney doing the prep, doing the front of the house stuff. So like we're doing laundry, we're polishing the silverware, we're polishing glasses, but we're also cooking, we're also pouring the water. Rodney handled like the wine part and the sake part, but everything else was like still us. So it was cool because like when you eliminate the front of the house, like the cooks get more money at the end of the day. So all of the tips went to us. And all of the like service charge would go to us instead of like having to split it with a front of the house. That was dope, but I guess it just wasn't consistent business for like, cause like this was before he had his Michelin star, so he was popular, but like he wasn't busy all of the time. So like it just wasn't like financially, it just wasn't working out. So there was, I had staged at Lazy Bear, and one of the cooks had left and told me that they were still looking for help. So I reached out to Kim, who you had on the podcast.
Yeah.
And I was like, hey, like, I saw you guys are still looking for help. You know, I'm at Avery right now, but I can help out like a couple days a week, you know, like just let me know. So Kim was like, oh, okay, dope. Let me talk to David, you know, see what we can do. Luckily, they were cool with me being part-time. So once again, I was at two spaces, but it wasn't too bad because like I could still get like at least one full day off. And
did Rodney have an issue with you being at another place?
Oh no.
It was all good.
Yeah,
because that usually is not the case.
Oh no, Rodney was cool with it. He knew. Like he actually was like cool with me like leaving to go to Lazy Bear full time.
Yeah.
Lazy Bear was like they I guess realized that like I was actually pretty good. Like when I had staged for a pastry commis position, but they said that I didn't have enough experience for it.
Right.
So that's why like when I heard that they were still like looking for like help, I was like, well, I mean, I'm still willing to like learn to like get that experience that I need. So luckily like Kim was able to talk to David. Eventually I left Avery to go to Lazy Bear full time. One, because the money was better. Two, because like they had kind of like created this like swing position for me, because like even though I was pastry, they could tell I had a savory background. So they were like, hey, like we want you to work both, because they needed savory cooks, but I guess like none of the people that were staging were like working out. And I guess when pastry had like extra time or extra hands, like they would help out with savory stuff. So I was able to like bang shit out, and they're like, you know, you're really good. Like we would like for you to work full time here. So left Avery, went over to Lazy Bear. Was there through the pandemic. This was like in January to like February of like 2020 is when I had transitioned over. And there was like talk of like, you know, COVID, but like no one was like really like
Yeah, no one had any idea.
yeah, no one knew what was going on. So like just as like things were like ramping up, they started to like die down. People were getting nervous. So I didn't really get like that tasting menu experience so much because once I had got there, like COVID happened and Lazy Bear didn't shut down, but they switched to a commissary kitchen.
Right.
So like we were still using those fine dining like techniques and whatnot, but we weren't really doing the 2 seatings, 45, where like everyone comes out and they talk about each dish and we serve everyone. We weren't really doing that, but we were still doing like, I guess, high-end commissary food, if that's a thing. So yeah, was there through the pandemic. There was a time where most of us got laid off, but David was like, we know that some of you guys like have your own like pop-ups, so if you need a space, you know, you can use Lazy Bear and you can use us to like order stuff.
That's cool.
So yeah, that was like really dope. That was really cool, like to like keep some money coming in and to like keep cooking my food. Like I used that space, you know. I did some pop-ups. I did a pop-up at True Laurel. It was a tasting menu. I did a takeout pop-up at Mission Bowling Club. I did a pastry pop-up at Mission Bowling Club too. So eventually, like, things started to like pick back up, and outdoor dining that became a thing.
Right.
So little by little, like, we switched from commissary back to the tasting menu. So I did get that experience eventually. Like, it wasn't the full Lazy Bear experience, but it was as close to what Lazy Bear could like do given the circumstances.
Right.
So actually got fired from Lazy Bear also.
Okay. What'd you do?
You know,
That bad attitude against Chef? What the fuck?
Actually, no, it wasn't.
Yeah.
So because Lazy Bear is willing to cater to like every dietary, I missed like a dietary prep item on my list of like 9,000 dietaries.
Right.
So like instead of like fessing up saying like, hey, I forgot to prep this, I tried to like finagle something else in and be like, but like luckily like the CDC like checked and he was like, what the fuck is this? And I'm like, yeah, I fucked up.
Right.
So I got written up for that, and then the next day, in a hurry to get upstairs, I dropped all of my gougères because that was my dish, and I guess that like was it for them. Like,
right.
Dropping those gougères, which to me is like okay.
Right.
But they ripped me a fucking new one over some gougères, and then the next day they let me go.
Right.
I mean, it is what it is. Once again, like, that was
fucking with the company gougères, you got to go. You know what I mean? Like
they're just cream puffs.
Ruthless.
But like, I get it. Like, with 2 Michelin stars, there's a certain standard that they maintain. Sometimes I feel like,
you know, sometimes
the reactions are a bit much.
Yeah. Sometimes if they didn't fire you for that, it just starts like that and then it fucking blows out of control. Like, it'd be a surprise. Like, cool, they, you know, like say they went the other way and they forgave you. Some cook somewhere, some asshole in that building It's going to be like, well, that's not 2 stars. And then he's going to start fucking his prep up.
Yeah.
Because of that fucking douchebag, whoever that person is, that's why you had to get fired.
Probably.
But that's just the way it is, because if you don't fucking do it, it's crazy how kitchens work.
Yeah.
It's one little whisper, and then your whole shit goes down like cancer, son.
Yes.
So, I'm not sure of the situation. Obviously, you were there. I wasn't. But, you got shit canned. Did they do that nicely?
I think so.
Right?
It was just...
Gave you your last paycheck.
Yeah,
It wasn't like they beat the shit out of you and threw you in an alley.
No. David was like, if you ever need, like, recommendation or anything.
That's dope.
Yeah, like, he even...
Because at least they didn't fire you and they're like, never talk to us again.
No. David was like, if you ever need anything, like, business-wise, like, help with your business, like, you can reach out. So, like, we didn't leave on, like, bad blood.
Terms.
It was just, like, a shitty way to
right. No, I get it.
get fired. Just, like, over some gougères at the end of the day.
The company cream puff chef.
But got fired. Met up with Julio Aguilera. Also had him.
Yeah.
He was going to be opening up Copas. So I was part of that team. The opening team actually was with Julio when he was doing the R&D. So was there for about a year also. It was fun to get a restaurant opening under my belt.
Right.
But wasn't the right environment for me. Just wasn't for me. So left, then found my way over to Hi Felicia. Was supposed to be a sous chef there, and then her CDC left. So then she offered me the CDC position, and I was like, it's about fucking time.
Right. Who was her CDC?
Valentine Lopez.
Right. Where's that person now?
I do not know. I think they're doing their own thing right now.
In the Bay.
I think they're in Santa Cruz right now. I don't know if Santa Cruz counts as the Bay. I don't think it does. People I've realized
Lower
in the Bay
Southern Bay
are very...
Before you know it, LA is going to be the Bay.
Listen, people are like, the Bay is only San Francisco and like certain parts of like East Bay. So I guess like Vallejo all the way down to...
Napa is also considered North Bay.
Is it though?
Yeah.
I
Go
never
on Craigslist.
know. Like
Craigslist, North Bay, Napa is
listen, I said Sacramento was part of the Bay, and people like were about
That's
to
a
fight
little
me.
far away.
But it's still like it's...
I don't get it either. I'm just saying what it is.
Listen, Bay Area folks, I'm sorry, I don't know the specifics, but Sacramento might not be the Bay, but they're in Sacramento right now.
I get it.
Or Santa Cruz, sorry.
Heard that. So they left. She gets you as CDC. You're like, I'm down.
Yeah, because
okay, look. Hi, Felicia. What is it?
Hi, Felicia?
Because I know that at first you guys started fine dining.
Yes.
Went to casual.
No.
Did not go to casual.
It still is a tasting menu.
Still is a tasting menu.
So, yes.
But a little less expensive.
Yes. So when I had started, I think the price for the menu was like $190 something, and the
Commis prices.
And the wine pairing was like $120 something. So plus the service charge, like
you're coming out there for $500 a person?
Like almost $5.
Those are omakase prices.
Listen, for like 12 courses, yeah. So the owner decided to lower the price to make it a bit more accessible.
Yeah, makes sense.
You know, so I think dropped it to $125 for the tasting menu, but didn't lower people's pay, so had to like balance that out. So then bumped it back up to $140, so that like people were still like getting paid and the business could still like run, since we're not charging, you know, 190 plus 125 plus all that
Right,
shit.
right.
But then since she had lowered the price, she went down in like courses from 12 to 7.
Right.
So it's still tasting menu, it's less courses, but it's supposed to be like a family style setup.
Mm.
So what I did was like the family style was more of like the entree course, and like certain dishes were still individual, but they were just maybe put on like shared plates,
Right.
or like certain dishes you would share as opposed to like getting your own plate of it.
Mm-hmm.
And then the entree, we did like a whole fish with like sides. So like a whole roasted fish with like a squash salad and like rice and beans. So like it's shareable because it's like a whole fish for 2 people. We did like lamb belly with tortillas and a bunch of sides. We just had braised short rib, grits, like Korean barbecue style. So there's like banchan
Yeah.
and shit to share. So I took family style as like you're sharing food. So it's still a tasting menu, but it's a shareable tasting menu.
Right. Okay.
If that makes sense.
I get that. Like
Yeah.
sets.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right,
yeah.
right.
So, I mean, High Felicia was dope. For those of you who don't know where it comes from, you should know it's a ripoff of Bye Felicia from Friday. There would be a lot of people come in and be like, "What's it from?" You know, it's from the movie Friday.
Right.
If you're black,
Right.
You've
know
seen
the movie.
You know.
Spent all summer watching that movie.
It's a great movie. There's 3 of them, you know.
4, chef.
4.
Yeah. There's Friday after next. I think there's a Christmas one, or maybe
No, that's the 3rd one. There's Friday.
There's
next
no 4th
Fri-
one.
No, there's.
They didn't just make one like 5 years ago.
No, there's Friday.
They didn't
next
just
Friday
make
or
one
Friday
like
after
5
next.
years ago. They didn't make one like.
I think
right.
I think they just
made one like 3 years ago or something, right? That we don't really even think about it.
Yeah, because everyone forgets about the 4th.
It's like Godfather 3.
Yeah. I always forget about the 4th one. You're right. You're right. Yeah.
It's all good.
But
there's only 2 worth watching.
People say that, but I've been told to rewatch the 3rd one because the 3rd one is apparently hilarious too.
It's one of those. It's a sleeper.
I guess because the first one, classic, like hands down.
Yeah, that's
the second one, because once you bring Day Day in,
yeah,
Mike Epps makes it another classic.
Yeah, it does.
The 3rd one, it must be a sleeper. So.
Yeah, my dad used to. My dad loved that movie so much. He used to recreate the scene of the dad taking a shit, but for real. So he'd be taking a shit and be like, pull me in the bathroom and be like, remember that scene? And I'd be like, Dad, I don't. This ain't the nah.
We don't need this. We don't need this.
I love you. We're bonding, but this is not good.
This is not the type of
It's
bonding
not
that I
the
want to
type
be
of-
doing.
exactly.
But I mean, High Felicia was dope. You know, it was my first time running someone's business.
Mhm.
You know, creating my own menu,
Challenging.
like my goal at High Felicia was to create a safe space for Black people in fine dining.
Right.
Because in every spot that I worked in, Black people were othered, you know, because people don't know how to like talk to us. People don't know how to interact with us. You know, they're either afraid of us in the sense of like they think we're loud, we're aggressive, or like the only thing that they try to talk to us is about like hip hop, you know. And it's like, talk to me about food, you know. Like I'm a chef just like you. Like we don't have to talk about like the newest sneakers or what you're listening to versus what I'm listening to, because I listen to everything. Like I don't really listen to strictly hip hop. Like my dad had a very eclectic music collection.
Yeah.
So I grew up listening to like ABBA, to like Rod Stewart, to like Shabba Ranks and all. So like, I listen to everything. But my goal at High Felicia was to create a safe space for Black cooks and chefs to also like learn, because like in these fine dining kitchens, like there aren't like people aren't taking the time to like nurture us. People aren't taking the time to like take us under their wing and like mentor us. You know, that's what I was trying to do. Like I wanted to like teach all these cooks who had never worked in Michelin, like, hey, like this is what I have learned. I'm willing to share it with you, because I don't know if any other chef is going to show you these things, or I don't know if you're going to be able to get into a Michelin kitchen, because like the standards in those kitchens are like ridiculously high. And I don't necessarily agree with how those kitchens are ran. You know, I feel like when it comes to fine dining, like the French brigade system is really stupid.
Okay.
You know, considering, you know, it's based off of the French military, you know, yes, some
We
people
never won any wars. Just saying, bro. What are we doing?
Like, yeah, like I get it. Some people need that structure.
Yeah.
But as I got up into management and learned about managing people, like that shit doesn't work for everybody.
Right.
You know, some people like I think the hardest part for me as a chef is managing people. You know, the cooking is the easy part, and I wish like more people would talk about that, is that the cooking is the easy part. It's the managing that's the hard part. And when you have managers that A, don't look like you, and B, don't get your experience and what you're going through outside of the restaurant on top of what you're going through inside the restaurant, you know, how are they going to be able to mentor you? How are they going to be able to coach you and help you be the best chef that you can be? You know, I never really felt like I was getting that in all these kitchens. Like, yeah, I was learning cool shit. I was learning cool techniques, but like, I don't really feel like some of these chefs were like really focused on like trying to make me be the best chef and probably the best person, because I feel like, you know, in order to be a good chef, you also kind of need to be a pretty good person, especially if you're going to be managing people. You know, you can't be a fucking dick to everyone. You know, that shit doesn't work. But I will say thank you to High Felicia for giving me like my first like CDC role, because like working in San Francisco, like all I really wanted was like just to get that like that management like position, because like I knew that I could cook, you know, but I just wasn't getting too many opportunities to do more and cook. Like I was just seen as a cog in the machine,
right,
to keep things going. You know, like very few spaces like would ask my input. You know, I didn't really get to experience that until I was at Lazy Bear, when after the pandemic had happened and things were starting to open up, and David was like looking for help, you know, on the menu, because he didn't have a CDC at the time. Some shit had gone down and he had to go. But David was like, you know, I need help with this menu. Like if you have time when you finish like your prep, you know, if you want to R&D some shit, you know, do it. So like I would like bust through my prep, like get it done, and David would like let us like order shit. So I would like order shit and be like, all right, this is my like dish, or these are my ideas, because Lazy Bear is all about like nostalgia, but my nostalgia is like different, because I feel like, you know, David's a white guy at the end of the day. Like his childhood was, I mean, was like food that he grew up eating. You know, I felt like I could bring a different perspective because I grew up eating West African food, you
Mm-hmm.
know, and that's not a thing
Mm-hmm.
in the food world. I mean, it like just now is starting to become
Right.
a thing, but it never really was. So that was like my way of like putting my foot out there and saying like, hey, like I've got some ideas, like this is what I'm working with. Like I know it's not necessarily like the Lazy Bear, you know, show, but like maybe like you guys can like tweak it to like make it fit Lazy Bear somehow. Well, you know, being at Copa's as like sous chef, you know, pastry chef, you know, I was able to contribute my ideas and some of the techniques that I had learned from previous chefs, and then High Felicia was just the culmination of all of that. You know, I was really just like fucking around and finding out. You know, that was a R&D space for me. You know, like I knew that I had solid flavors, and I had finally learned all of the secrets
Right.
of Michelin.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, all right, let's see what I can do. So I realized that I can do some pretty cool shit. I'm, as some people have been telling me, you know, I'm pretty talented. My flavors are pretty solid. Now it's just figuring out what's next. At High Felicia for about 10 months.
Mm-hmm.
Just wasn't for me either. Different ideas on how to do things.
Mm-hmm.
And like we were talking about before, that's like the issue with a lot of like CDCs is like you're running someone else's business at the end of the day.
Yeah, you don't really have as much say as ideologically you want to say you have.
Yes.
You know, you're just a placeholder, and at the end of the day, you have a boss.
Mm-hmm.
You do the things that your boss tells you.
Yeah.
And then now, most of the times, your boss has a boss because those are the investors putting money into the restaurant.
Exactly.
So
there's a lot of
essentially,
pressure.
yeah. And that's all that's running it. That's all you need to run it. So I don't know. I think we need to be smarter about going into the future of food and like have a side hustle versus just trying to like make money off food, because the rising cost of everything, it's going to be impossible to have restaurants that just run on restaurant.
Yeah.
You better have a motherfucking YouTube page. You
Or
better have a motherfucking like something going on. You better have an art gallery in your restaurant where you can sell art out of there. Like you got to diversify your bonds right now. Like you cannot just hustle off some chicken. Like I'm telling you, you guys sell shirts.
Or I mean, you just got to be offering something that's worth it at the end of the day. And that's not the same thing as everyone else. Like, I feel like now the issue with food is it's all the same shit. Mm-hmm. It's all French food. It's all Italian food. Yep. It's all New American, whatever that is.
New Mexican. I mean, I feel like even Mexican cuisine is like you go to Mexico and they're like serving pasta in Mexico City, and you're like, what the fuck happened? Yeah.
Right, yeah.
It's like, weird.
But, I mean, I feel like if you're offering the right things and you're doing the right things, then people are going to keep coming back to your restaurant, you know? Like, not all restaurants are going to succeed, but the ones that do succeed are like, or are hopefully, you know, doing the right shit, you know? Mm-hmm. Like, restaurants are super, super, super expensive. I don't think people take that into consideration. No. You know,
you have to have at least $1 million to open a restaurant nowadays.
Yeah, and if you're doing it without investors, like, that's even harder.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna cut that out.
It's all good. We'll cut it out too. We'll cut it out. I will say though that there had to have been at least 3 or 4 black cooks in that time that stashed at Noma.
Yeah,
and like however they got there, God bless them.
Listen, some people are able to do it. You know, they have the right resources.
Mm-hmm.
But at the end of the day, it's a bunch of like white people,
Right.
People who have privilege.
Mm-hmm.
I know that I would never be able to work for free for like
Right.
a month, 2 months, and better yet, 3 months. You know, like that's why working in all these kitchens, like I've been working at 2 spots.
Right. Right.
You know,
There is, however, the people that you know, worked 2 jobs for 6 months, saved the money to go
then,
do.
yeah,
You know what I
yeah.
mean? Like, and I hate that they get lumped into everybody else. You know, and like even the people that work for like Dan Barber, like when that episode, the fucking article came out about Dan Barber. It's like, all right, cool, whatever, fuck Dan Barber. But then what about the cooks that work there?
Exactly.
What about like
that's the thing.
the
like,
whole rest of your life you got to deal with? Hey, well, you were at Blue Hill when this happened. Like, what's up with that?
Yeah.
It's like now
What
you got to
was
fucking answer about scandal every time you fucking talk to somebody about a restaurant. Like,
Exactly.
Come on.
And that's the thing. Like a lot of people don't think about the cooks at the end of the day. Like the little people. You know,
Yeah,
like
those are the people that suffer.
Those are the people that suffer. Exactly. You know, if that's why like more restaurateurs, more business owners, more chefs like need, or in my opinion, need to at least be like decent people that recognize that, hey, like you're not going to be affected by this. Your staff will. And once you realize that, maybe like that's how we change
Yeah.
the industry. Like I'm all for like burning it down and starting over.
Right.
Like because there's just too many people saying that they're trying to change shit and they're not.
Right.
It's still the same toxic bullshit. It's still the same like isms, you know, there's still racism, sexism, ageism, like all that shit is still there. But if people are willing to acknowledge that and say, all right, what was in the past didn't work, obviously. So what can I do to make it work, you know?
Right.
And that also has to do with people educating themselves about hospitality and its roots in slavery and racism. You know, Black people were the ones doing these jobs before, like, it was cool.
Right.
I know that, like, a lot of people don't pursue hospitality because, you know, their parents are like, hey, like, we want you to be better because we, like our grandparents, like, did this stuff. And you know that, like, it's not sustainable. You know, like, the reason why, like, there are all those isms, the reason why, like a livable wage is, like, not really feasible, like, benefits aren't really a thing, is because, like, the workers were seen as less than. And you have to change that mindset. You have to change that viewpoint, because these are the people who are making this industry, you know, run. Is the bottom people, is the workers. So if you take care of those people, then your business will be taken care of, you know. Yeah, like, take care of your people and then they will take care of you. That's the best way to be sustainable, or one way to work towards being sustainable in hospitality.
You are part of a James Beard initiative.
Yes.
What's it called? How'd you get started in that?
So it's called the James Beard Legacy Network. Colleen Vincent, who is the vice president of communications at the Beard House. She had started following me after I wrote an article in an eater, calling out anti-blackness in fine dining. So she started to follow me. She reached out saying that, hey, we're getting this program together. It's the second year. Would love for you to apply and participate. You know, I was pretty like surprised because like I just see myself as like someone who's just like cooking in kitchens, and like never really saw myself as like a like big showy person. You know, I'm just me, just cooking and doing what I can. But she told me to apply, so I did, and they accepted me in the program as an advisor. So I pretty much was paired up with someone who was in hospitality, but not necessarily like a chef. My advisee was trying to become a food writer full time. So I used my resources with people who I knew in food writing to get her to like get pitches, to get more, or to write more articles, to get her going in her journey. So I mean, it was a really dope experience. Met a lot of people who were like me, like trying to create safe spaces for Black, brown, indigenous, you know, other chefs of color, because like this industry is pretty much ran by white men at the end of the day. And there is gatekeeping within those white men that keep out people of color from getting those opportunities. So this was a program that linked up mentors with mentees to like help them. Say like one person was trying to like get their food truck off of the ground. So like their advisor was really just like giving them resources, like pointing them in the direction of like grants, you know, things to help them. And so just met some really cool people, dope people. I didn't think I was ready to be an advisor. You know, I like I said, you know, I don't think I'm doing too much, but they saw something in me. They James Beard, the organization, it seems like they are trying to use all of their resources to benefit as many chefs of color as they can. And not too many organizations are doing that. I think since Colleen has been working with them for, I want to say like 30 something years, 40 years, you know, one thing that she realized is that they were always saying like that, like when it came to doing events, you know, the James Beard organization would say that like they couldn't find Black chefs, they couldn't find Black mixologists, they couldn't find Black bartenders. So Colleen was like, there's plenty of people out there. Like you guys just aren't trying hard enough to find them. So like she and one of the photographers started an organization called black food folks to like be like, hey, like these are all of the black people in hospitality. Like they are out there. You guys just need to work harder to find them. So now that Colleen is like saying like, here are the black people. Now James Beard is like, oh, okay, here are some sponsors that we can set you guys up with. Like, so if you want to do a dinner, like here's some sponsors that can help you. I think they just opened up a food hall in New York. That's like, if you have a business idea that you want to showcase, like apply and you can do a residency here, you know, like they're doing dope things to make it easier for people like us to succeed. And there's like not too many people doing that. Like a lot of people are still stuck in their same old ways. So like I commend like James Beard and Colleen and Clay for like pushing them, and for the people at James Beard to be willing to like listen. You know, that's one thing. Like people don't want to listen and reflect. I guess that shit's hard. I mean, makes sense. It's a little hard for me sometimes. So when you're a massive organization ran by nothing but white people, I guess it hits a little harder.
Well, I will say, I think the thing that separates, you know, when we say the white man, right, the white person, I think it's the white person that isn't connected to their culture, right? A person who's just American, like they're not Italian, they're not Polish, right? Because usually within the Italian culture, within the Polish culture, like they understand what culture is, right? At least, right? Even if they may be racist, whatever it is. But I find that the people that truly are like unaware are just the people that aren't connected to their culture. That is why people like Mexico so much, because those people know their culture. They're connected to their roots, and that's what makes other places more special. That's what even makes London white people way better, because they're fucking connected. Yeah, they're connected to where the fuck they came from. Whereas here, it's like they don't know why they hate black people. Yeah, they just know they just know that that's a thing. They're like, we're born like this. This is what we do. But again, nobody's reflecting. Nobody's saying, but wait, why do we hate black people? And there's a guy right now, I forget his name, but he actively talks to Ku Klux Klan members and gets them to get out of it. This is a black man who does this. Yeah, we'll see it after. He was on the Joe Rogan podcast. That's how I saw him. It's like I had no idea people like this existed.
That's bold.
We'll legitimately go and meet up with Ku Klux Klan members, leaders, and we'll have conversations with them about this. Okay. That guy is doing the work. Yes. You know, because it's one thing to say, fuck the white man, like that's the easy thing. But like to teach the white man, that's another thing.
But black people shouldn't have to teach anymore. We've been doing it.
I understand.
For years. But it's like, now to where like
no one
white
knows
people,
any better.
But white people are at a point where like they should be willing to educate each other. You know, it's that silence of like, ooh, I don't, ooh, like no one wants to talk about race. Like talk about that shit. Right. Like you see some racist shit, call it out. Like don't just laugh awkwardly like, ha 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 ha. Like no, like dog, like that shit's racist, because I guarantee you, like if a white man calls out another white man for racism or sexism or whatever, they're going to listen to them more than if I call them out.
Oh, for sure.
So
you're 100% right. But I think that there's an education in like teaching them how to fucking do that. Because if you don't have the tools to do anything, then how are you going to do it? And I know that it seems like very like, oh, well, you're just dumb. Like, how can you? Right. But when you truly understand human beings, you need to know that nobody knows any better. Oh, yeah. You know, like truly, like even when you're like, man, why are these people like this? They don't know any better.
Ignorance.
That's where it's at. And so it sucks because sometimes you can't teach someone your side of things, because as hard as you believe that side of things, that's how hard they believe their side.
Yeah.
Right? And with that mentality, you ain't going to fucking get to the middle of the road, you know? So fortunately for us, I don't think we're going to see the end of racism.
Oh.
But the
At
best
least not in
our lifetime.
Not in our lifetime, and
No.
not in this country.
No.
Not in this
But
country.
I will say I've been on other apps. I've been on apps called Fanbase. And I was in a room called If I Owned a White Slave, right? This is interesting, right? I wanted to see what was up, right? But what I'm hearing is our brothers and sisters talking like white people. They're talking like hateful white people, right? Take away the race, take away whatever. If they were saying the same shit about a black person as a white person, we would not have an easy time with that, right? These people are talking about, I mean, it was rough in that room, but they were basically like, I would let them outside for the sun to hit them all day, to make them feel the pain that we felt. Ooh. And all this shit.
You know, white skin can't.
You know what I'm saying?
So it's gonna be.
So, like, what I'm saying is that if we are not careful, in 500 years, the black and brown people will be the white people of today, and we will have enslaved a race. And are we better? I'm not talking about in the near future. I'm talking about. I
don't think the goal is to enslave.
It's not the goal, but I'm saying we must be careful with the way that we communicate, right? In trying to educate these people that don't know shit. They don't know anything, right? So if I go to a person like this, how do I communicate with them? And I mean, I've talked to racist people. I've worked with cooks who were racist. And like, I've been able to say to their face, like, you don't like me, right? Because of whatever. Why is that? And if I can't have that conversation with somebody, like this man going to have conversation with Ku Klux Klan members, then I feel like, what are we doing then?
I mean,
you know?
And I get that, but black people, that's what we've been doing all this time.
Right.
Like we're tired. Like, we shouldn't have to. So that's why white people need to take that mantle. Like, white people, like the good white people, if people want to call themselves that, but like, they have to be willing to re-educate their brothers and sisters, you know? Like, it really is like racism is taught. Like, you're not born racist. Like, you are taught that shit. Like, that's why when I was younger, like, I feel like it wasn't that hard to like make friends because
because you didn't know what it was.
Yeah, you don't know what racism is, but as you get older, you know, your environment, you know, whatever background your parents are, you know, they're going to say things to you that are going to twist your mind, you know, and sometimes it's racist stuff. But like, where's I going with this? Yeah, like white people need to re-educate each other, you know, like there are plenty of black people who are doing that work. There are plenty of brown people who are doing that work. There's not enough white people.
Right. But you do agree that there is some white people doing the work.
There are some white people. There's not enough of them.
What I'm getting at is that there's people out here thinking that there's no white people doing the work. You know what I mean?
There are people who think that, but there are white people who are doing the work. And it's just like,
what are we doing?
But like, those people need to be able to like call out those other people.
For sure.
Yes.
It's how do we educate them to be able to do that? You know, that's the question that I have. Because it's easy. Yeah, they should educate, but how?
I mean, it's
right.
It's
a hard answer.
It's really within white people themselves, like reflection. Like, you have to sit with a lot of the shit that's been wrong.
Right.
You have to acknowledge it, and you have to be like, do I want to be part of the problem or do I want to be part of the solution? You know, and there are some white people who are like, you know what, racism is bullshit. Like, let's educate each other. Like let's do shit to, like, how can I word this? Like, let's like, where's I going with this? The reason why I feel like white people don't like to talk about race and they don't like to call each other out is because they get uncomfortable.
Right.
And people need to find ways to deal with that discomfort. Maybe it's you get into therapy and you find a therapist who is working on their racism and working to be anti-racist, because, like, or if you find a black therapist. I don't know, maybe that's weird, but
teach me how to be not racist.
Because you know, some white people are going to do that.
Yeah.
They're gonna, like, try and
take it very literal.
Yeah, but, like, you know, it's you have to find ways to deal with your discomfort in order to move forward, and whether that's therapy, whether that's you need to go on a trip, whether you need to go move somewhere, you know, like that's
immerse yourself in a culture.
Yeah, that's your own journey to figure out. But know that you have to be willing to sit with yourself. That's
a hard thing to ask people, because all day there's things in your face that don't let you do that.
Yeah.
Whether it's billboards, fucking TV, the apps, your job, you know what I mean? And I think that you have culture, right? You're West African. Like, not everybody here
has,
like,
that.
Even some of our black and brown brothers and sisters, they don't have culture.
Yeah.
You know?
And that was taken from them.
Yeah, exactly. And it's just it's a hard thing to navigate with everybody, but I do think that most of these racist people are going to die in the next 20 years, right? So we could just, you know what I mean? So time will heal some things.
Some people are just going to die off, but that shouldn't be the only solution. Like, because there are still people in, like, the Midwest who are always going to have those thoughts. There are still people in, like, the Deep South who are always going to have those thoughts and feelings.
Right.
But that's also because, like, the education system is flawed too. You know, like, there's a lot of things that we weren't taught about black people, about brown people, about Asian people. You know, like, this country's fucked.
Yeah, for sure.
This country's fucked.
I mean, it's built on money. It's
built off of
a business.
racism.
It's a big business.
It's built off of slavery. It's built off of capitalism. You know, it's whatever you can do to get money, you know.
But I mean, I think every nation, for the most part, was built on slavery. You know, I mean, let's face it. Everyone had slaves. Even African kings, had slaves.
Yes.
You know, so, like,
but
white people, I don't think invented slavery.
No,
slavery was
white people didn't invent slavery, but
human
they
beings
invented racism.
Okay, I can see that.
They invented racism.
That. I always wanted to know what the human history was of, like, because obviously Africa is the cradle of civilization, right? So everybody was black at some point, right?
Yeah.
When did people start becoming white? It's like, what? It's my question. I don't know.
At some point, white people were able to rewrite history. I think it's because a lot of other cultures, their history is verbal. They tell things, whereas some cultures wrote everything down. So once you start to write shit down, that's when it starts to become, like, solidified. Like, this is fact because it's written.
So do you think that, okay, so you're thinking that,
so, like,
the civilizations that could write better had more part of history?
Most likely.
Right. Okay. Yeah. I can see that.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah, because a lot of history is oral,
Mm-hmm.
but what's taken to be fact is the shit that's written down.
Mm-hmm.
But how do you know if that shit that's written down is actually factual? Like someone could have tweaked it and being like, oh, you know what? This is what we're gonna write. Da, 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 da. Like, look at the Declaration of Independence. It's the American history on a piece of paper, right? But it was written by white guys saying that, oh, all men back then, meaning white men, were created equal. But it didn't take several changes of, oh shit, women can have rights, black people can have rights. Like, it took a lot of changes of like rewriting that history to be like, oh, this is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong. That's why, like, I feel like with now, like, we should really question like what we've been taught, because it has been mostly written down by white people who, and maybe I'm starting to sound a little like Dr. Umar, a little hotepish, but I mean, like, at the end of the day, American history is written by white people and just needs to be questioned, you know, because every day we're finding out new facts. Like, every day we're finding out new things. So actually, I feel like since every day we're finding out new things, every day we're finding out new facts, that should want to push people to want to like question things. And by wanting to question things, hopefully that would make people want to like sit with themselves and like question more things.
Mm-hmm. What happens after the questioning? What should those people do after the question when they find out, like, deep inside, like, oh fuck, I'm racist?
Then
what's the next step?
What can you do to,
You know, like, what is the
answers? So once you're asking those questions, now you need to start finding those answers.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like,
I always wonder, like, if there's some racist couple out there in the South who's like wife of a really racist dude isn't racist, but she like can't say anything.
Yeah.
Like, where does she go to be like? She can't leave her kids. She can't run away from her life. And if she says anything to anybody else about not being racist, that's her whole life gone away from her, right? What does she do to, like, and this is a hypothetical, I don't know.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, sometimes
Mary Sue, you know?
Yeah, I mean, for Mary Sue, like,
you know,
sometimes, and maybe just because by nature I'm willing to like cut people off, like, sometimes you gotta cut those people off and start fresh. You know, if those people aren't willing to change, if those people aren't willing to want to be better, you have to find those people. You know, you need to find your community. You know, human beings, we're social beings. You know, we want to be liked. We want to feel a part of a community. Sometimes we don't always do what's right to be part of a community. You know, we just want to fit in, whether it be like we agree with things that we don't necessarily agree with. But if you really want to do better, like, you would want to make that change to seek out people, because the people are out there. You just need to be brave enough to like take that step. You know.
Okay. So with this fellowship that you have with James Beard, does it last forever? Is it like, are you inducted now?
I'm part of the James Beard family.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah.
What does that mean for you? Like, do you have events to do every year?
Yeah. I mean, it just means that all of the resources of James Beard are at my disposal. I met the president of the James Beard Foundation, and he was like, if you ever need anything, whether it's access to like grants or any type of resource, reach out to me. Like, that's what I'm here for. Like, anything you need, like whether it's sponsors, like you want to do an event and you need sponsors, let us know. We'll we will set you up. Like throughout this experience, you know, I met other chefs who are like, yo, we have the same vision. Like, you want to do a dinner, I will host you. You know, like, one thing that's been hard about having a pop up is like finding a location.
Yeah.
You know, that's not going to charge like an arm.
$400 an hour.
Right?
You're like the menus cost 50.
Exactly.
Fuck.
Like, I can't make a profit.
Yeah,
I can't
do anything.
pay anyone.
No. You break even on those.
But like, I've met people who are like, hey, I will host you, or hey, I know so and so. Like, I'll put in a good word for you, and you can use their location. You know, like, I met Carlo Lamagna.
Mm-hmm.
Carlo, I'm sorry if I butchered your last name, but he's a Filipino chef in Portland. That's the dude that I told you.
You were hooking up.
Yeah. He is a chef that's like really about like for his people, and like runs his restaurant in a way that like makes sense. You know, he talks to his team. He has their input. Like, he's someone that's worked in the Michelin kitchens, and he worked at Blue Barn or Blue Hill. I don't fucking know the name. But he's worked in these kitchens. He's seen what doesn't work.
Right.
And he's trying to make it work. So like, I've met people like him that like share the same visions, you know? Like, it's the community that I've been looking for, you know?
Mm-hmm.
It's not necessarily only with like Black chefs.
Right.
It's with Filipino chefs, Mexican chefs, Venezuelan chefs, you know, Chinese chefs, Japanese chefs, you know, because at the end of the day, the problem is white supremacy.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's what the big monster is, you know. So it's like, what can we do as a community to support each other and uplift each other, whilst also like fighting white supremacy.
Mm-hmm.
So
fuck yeah, I'm down with that. I need to get me set up over there with some James Beard. Come on, fucking, let's go, baby.
James Beard, or Chris Moon, if you're listening, hit up David
Sucio.
David
Vouch
Sucio.
for me, baby. Vouch for me.
This is someone who's talking to chefs, who's picking their brains. You know, some of them don't always have the best viewpoints, but the conversations are happening. We need more of these conversations happening. So.
That's the thing that I'm gonna have conversations with everybody.
Yeah.
Right, left, fucking top, down, middle, doesn't fucking matter, because I just feel like everybody needs to have the space to say what they need to say.
Yes.
And then, you know, it's out there, and then the world can see it and say, okay, well, this is what I think about that. Because the days of conversation have gone away.
Yes.
And so it's like,
everyone's on their phones.
Yeah, it's like, what's going on, man? Let's have a conversation. And you know, I'm excited for you. I'm so happy for you that you got this James Beard thing, and
thank you.
I can't wait to see what you do with it. I'm down to help you out if you ever need help for a dinner.
Oh, bet.
Fucking, where can people follow you for everybody?
So I am on Instagram, Dotse89. That's my private account. My pop-up is ADE Test Kitchen. So on IG, it's ADE _ TK. That's my fine dining pop-up for Ghanaian food.
Dope.
But then I'm also been working on this dinner series to showcase Black chefs and Black people in hospitality, called A Hard Pill to Swallow. So that's also on Instagram, A Hard Pill to Swallow, just like that. But there's like a bunch of underscores.
Mm-hmm.
But if you start to type in A Hard Pill, it'll just pop up. But yeah, you know, I'm gonna be doing some pop-ups, private events. I just had a meeting with the chef of Sobremesa, so gonna be doing a dinner with him in the next few months.
Cool.
So keep an eye out for that. He's from New York, but his background is Dominican. So we're going to explore the intersection of like West African food and how it's touched like the DR. You know, he said
Plátano, papi.
so many plátanos. Yeah. I'm on Facebook too. Selasie Dotse. My pop up for ADE is also on Facebook. LinkedIn, if you guys about that life.
Fuck yeah, man. We're everywhere. SoundCloud.
I do have a SoundCloud. I'm not like making beats or anything or like making music.
Chef, I think we need to make music.
Listen,
I think we need a new avenue for, because it's for the kids.
I do some drumming, West African drumming.
Okay.
Particularly. So if you come to my pop-ups, I may try and like fuse that in, so like a little dinner and a little drumming. So
dope.
Yeah.
I'm down with that. I'm down. Well, for all the people out there watching, follow this chef. It's an up and comer out here. It's fucking about to take the world by storm, putting black chefs on the map. All right.
I'm just trying.
Yeah, no. Susio Talk podcast, not just trying, she's doing. Fuck the white man over here. All right. Selasie, peace out. Everyone.
Thanks for listening, guys.
Susio Talk podcast. Motherfucker, see you next week. Let's go. I think that